Back on HQ, it's the Brooklyn way. But as of late, that way has been the wrong one. The once conference-leading Nets have slid to the 3 seed following a 4-game losing streak. Tonight, they're going to test their mettle out west in a 10-P tip with the Nuggets, who are embroiled in a seeding race of their own. Let's get our guys into the mix. The book breakers and dream makers. Sportsline analyst Tim Doyle alongside the Wizard of Odds, Kenny White. Gentlemen, let's begin with the struggling Nets, who have dropped 4 straight, both straight up and against the number. Tonight they're laying 4 on the road against the Nuggets. Kenny, I'll go your way first here. If we're going to ride Brooklyn, no way we can do it with any sort of confidence right now. What's the play in this one?
Yeah, no, I agree, Joe. Right now, 3.5 games out of the Sixers with 5 to go. This is their most difficult game of the 5, though. I'm sure it's going to be a game that they'll come max effort. They got a little bit of an advantage sitting there waiting while Denver played the Jazz last night and then traveled home. But that road to home travel isn't that difficult. It kept the numbers over the years. It's there's no disadvantage for the Nuggets in that spot. I'm going to take Denver plus the 4. Like the way they're playing, 15-5 straight up over the last 20 games. ATS record just 9-11. But I don't have to win the game. I just got to get within that 4 points. I think it's just too many points. Denver just playing very good basketball against a Brooklyn team, trying to find an identity, I think, still with Griffin now being placed into the starting lineup.
Yeah, I originally, that was my original thought, was this was too large of a number. But as I kind of dove into the film of last night, I thought Denver expended a lot of energy in a signature game against the Jazz, in a game that you could tell they were playing max effort against a Jazz team. It didn't have Conley, it didn't have Mitchell, and instead Bogey goes off for 48 points, and they fall short. That was a game that was a lot of possessions. They put a lot of effort there. And now I know it's a short travel, but now you get the Nets just kind of sitting there. And you know the Nets are stewing. They've lost 4 straight. They have not won a game in the month of May. So I get what Kenny's saying. If you want to go with that side, totally understand it. I'm just on the other side of they're going to win eventually. Like, this is the get-right game where things are kind of setting up for them. Denver had a really hard game. They didn't play yesterday. The Nets know they're only 7-8 when Kyrie and Durant play together, no Harden. And when Harden's on the floor, they're a completely different squad. So that really gives validation to how great James Harden is. And however you want to match up the combinations of, if you could have 2 of those guys out there, one of them has to be James Harden. I think their best combo is probably Harden and Durant. So who knows if this is all going to click, Joe, when it matters come playoff time, when you just insert Harden back in there, especially off a hamstring injury. We know how sensitive those things could be. Heck, look at his comeback. He was coming back, and all of a sudden he hurts his hamstring. Reports are he's going to be ready to go before the playoffs. I just think it's a get-right spot. Things kind of line up for the Nets. I understand what Kenny's saying, but I'm on the other side.
Yeah, despite them being one of the toughest teams in the NBA, also one of the toughest to handicap right now when you put together all of those different combinations of their 3 stars. We've only seen the Durant-Kyrie one as of late. We'll see how it plays out tonight. Also in the 10-P slot, the Blazers are going to welcome the Spurs. Plenty at stake in this one. San Antonio occupies that last spot in the playoff play-in. Portland, meanwhile, is a game clear of the play-in, sitting in the 6th seed. So some high-stakes hoop to follow here tonight. TD, Portland's laying the 6. Totals set at 231.5. How are we laying it in this one?
Yeah, both these teams are coming off back-to-backs, right? Portland knocked off the Lakers, and Spurs were life and death to beat the Sacramento Kings, a game I like the Kings. They just dominated them in the 4th quarter. Interesting story. My dad, who played in the NBA, we all know my dad's stats, right? He was a 30-30-30 guy in the NBA. It means if they were up by 30 or down by 30, he got in for like 30 seconds, okay? But one thing he did realize when he was gambling was the road trips. So he could put himself in players' shoes, and he knew you went from Frisco, which was Golden State at the time, to the Lakers, and then, then up to Portland. Always the last game of that trip was Portland. So he made a ton of money pre-3-point line, betting the Blazers after a long West Coast trip that always seemed to end in Portland. And think back, Portland's historically always had great home records, a great home crowd, great energy there. So that was one of his methods. Not sure how long it lasted, but it did eventually end. Like every good gambling run, it did end at some point. So I'm going to go with the Blazers in this spot, lay the points in this game. They did not cover against the Lakers, but I watched that game, and honestly, the game was never really in doubt. I know the Lakers shot a 3 that could have tied the game in the 4th quarter, but I just felt like Portland was kind of toying with them. And even though Anthony Davis had his best game since he came back, Lillard was outstanding. Him and McCollum have great synergy right now. Portland's playing their best basketball this season. They've won 6 of their last 7 games. They just snapped a 5-game home trip. But the old Big Dan handicapping of the West Coast last trip in Portland, I think it pays off in this spot.
I'm going to be against it tonight. The Blazers haven't played that well at home. 13-19 ATS on the year, where the Spurs on their road games, Popovich's team comes to play 21-11. Also revenge built in the game. They just played in April 16th in San Antonio. Portland with a 107-106 win. Both these teams kind of in that playoff tournament bubble right now. Portland number 7. They are tied with the Lakers. Spurs number 10, and it's more important to be 7 or 8, obviously, because you want to play in that 7-8 game, because if you win, you're in. So you don't want to have to win 2 in a row. You'd rather have to win 1. It's very important to be 7 or 8. They're only a game and a half back of that 8 spot with the revenge factor and the team with the better defense. Spurs right now 12th overall defensively. Portland number 29. We know they can score. They just don't play defense. Same thing. The game before that, me taking the points with Denver. Denver was 11th offensively. Brooklyn, 25th in the NBA. They got no shot to win an NBA title with the 25th defense in the NBA. So take the team with the better defense plus the points here, San Antonio.
I mean, same could be said for the Lakers back in the mid-2000s who turned it on in the playoffs. Not an easy thing to do, but we'll see if they can do it. Let's keep this thing rolling with just 5 tips remaining. Jazz are going to look to maintain their 1-game lead atop the conference when they welcome the unbettables, the Rockets, catching 15.5 in Utah. Total set at 226.5. And I'll offer this. Houston, they've allowed opponents to score 113 plus in 14 of their last 16, and most of them well north of that 113. I'm keyed in on the total. What about you, TD?
Yeah, I'm actually going to get a little more specific, drill down a little further, okay? Get out the Bunsen burner, the microscope, or the telescope, whatever you use to, like, I'm not sure. I cheated on a lot of those tests, okay? But Houston, last 2 games, they gave up 135 to Philly and 141 to Milwaukee. So where am I drilling down? I'm going Jazz individual team total in this spot. Here's the deal. If the Jazz shoot 12 of 38 from 3, you ain't going to win this bet. But if they traditionally go out there and make their 17, 19, 23s, which they did last night against Denver, this game's going to go over and they're going to eclipse that 120.5 mark. I've started to lean towards these bets because, like you said, Houston has no chance to win. How could you bet a team that literally has 0.0 chance to win? You could sell me on maybe Utah's tired on the second half of a back-to-back. Their ball movement is just so exceptional that they could just end up missing and have tired legs. And hey, that's sports. Anything could happen on a given night. But I can guarantee you this. Utah's going to get wide open looks. They're going to get wide open shots. They have great ball movement. If they make the shots they're supposed to make, they're going to score 121 or more.
I like that a lot, Tim. I think that's a great play because I like the game over. And I think Utah does dominate. Houston, no defense. You're right. Great ball movement, great looks. They're going to get their shots. They knock down those threes. This game goes well over the total because Houston's pushing the pace. They're still 6th fastest in the NBA. They just come off a 141-133 loss to Milwaukee. Jazz are 4-2 to the over their last 6 games. I thought over 227 was a really nice play, but I do agree. Without Christian Wood in the lineup for Houston tonight, Utah can name the score. They can win by 30 if they want. So actually, I do like Tim's play over the team total for the Jazz. Far better than my individual team game total over.
All right, so there's a Kenny White cosign. What more can you look for? Let's move on to our next game here. For all the struggles, the Warriors do seem to be destined for a spot in the play-in. They'll take on the Thunder for the second time in 3 nights, with Thursday's matchup producing a convincing win for the Dubs. They won that one by 21 tonight. Same court, same team, same time, same Steph. They're laying 14.5. Total's coming in at 223. Kenny White, can we expect some of the same here tonight at Chase Center?
Yeah, I hope we do. It's like Tim said, we've seen this movie before. We just saw this movie. This just happened. And the pace of the game was 99 possessions. And I only bring that up because I like the total under. And I like it because of the Warriors' defense. They continue to play top 5 NBA defense, even though they push the pace. And the Thunder pushes the pace. You got the 7th fastest team versus the 2nd fastest team. But they just played, and again, 99 possessions. That's not top 5 pace. That's average NBA pace right now, 99 possessions a game. If you give me average pace, and the defense for the Warriors versus the worst offense in the entire NBA with Oklahoma City. And that's why they're an under team on the road. 21-12 under in their road games. Warriors have been under at home, 18-13. I'm going to go under the 223 here.
It's a hard game to figure, right? Warriors need to win. How exciting is the play-in game going to be? Right now, the play-in game would be Warriors and Lakers. So I know LeBron doesn't like the play-in game, but think about other sports. How do we like wild card weekend in football? I think we like it a lot. How do we like the playoff wild card system? They just keep adding more teams. How about the NCAA tournament? 64 wasn't enough. Let's add 4 more in there. That's been awesome. And the play-in games are going to be awesome. The Warriors are going to win this game. Do you have the guts to lay the points? I don't. And here's why. I think the Warriors are just going to do enough. Like, this is a game they're going to win. As for the Thunder, you start looking at their roster, it's very similar to Major League. This guy's dead. Well, cross him off your list then. Like, obviously, he's not going to be in the lineup tonight, but they're playing for their jobs. Like, one thing I know about the Thunder, they're clearly not as talented. But those guys out there, the Dorts, the Baisleys, the Robies, the Browns, like, this is their job. So, like, they may not be talented, but you got to think max effort is going to be there, because if they're not on the Thunder next year, another team could pick them up. So GMs look at how you play in these games. And the fact that the Warriors just beat them and they just did enough, we're kind of watching this theme across the NBA. We saw the Sixers last night just do enough to beat the Pelicans, who were playing without Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. I think this is a game where the Warriors just do enough, so I'm going to take the dog in this spot. And hold on for dear life, because, Joe, there is nothing worse than betting a dog when you know they have 0.0 chance of winning the game.
Forget the curveball, Ricky. Give him the heater. Let's take a look at those plays again. Saturday, NBA picks from Tim Doyle and Kenny White. They're split on the Nets-Nuggets game. Kenny's taking Denver, getting the points at home. Tim likes Brooklyn in the bounce-back spot. That's a 4-game losing streak for the Nets, so a bounce-back game spot. Spurs and Blazers, same thing, splitting them. Kenny likes San Antonio. Tim likes Portland. Rockets and Jazz. The Spurs and the Blazers is the big Dan Rohde play. Rockets and Jazz is simply, you can't play the Rockets. Play it over for Kenny, and he also loves Tim's team total over for Utah. Thunder and Warriors. That's under the 223 for Kenny. OKC for Tim. All right, here's a look at the early slate getting us let off in the East in the NBA. Wizards and Pacers going to do battle. Wizards laying 3.5 on the road with some history on the line for the Brody. Russell Westbrook looking to tie Oscar Robertson on the all-time triple-double list. Probably going to do it because it's what he does. Pistons and Sixers, meanwhile, in the city of brotherly love. Sixers laying 10.5, trying to lock in that 1 seed, and the Grizz and the Raptors going to do battle down in Tampa as well. Welcoming back our experts and analysts. Barring collapse, guys, the Wizards appear to be locked into that final playoff spot in the East. Washington fans, send your thanks the way of Russell Westbrook, who continues to blow up box scores, yet again averaging a triple-double for the season. Didn't get an all-star vote, but different conversation, different day. If he gets a triple-double tonight, he'll get the Oscar Robertson tied atop the list with 181 triple-doubles on his career. Again, he's averaging it, so we're likely going to see it. Russ and the Wiz laying 3.5 on the road in Indy. Good time, Timmy. What's the money move here?
You know, let's talk about Westbrook for a second. I got to be honest, I wasn't really sure this was going to work out. And I think what he has done in a Wizards uniform has only added a tremendous amount of respect, in at least my eyes, to his overall resume. Hey, we all knew the guy could play, but we all saw him as like, sometimes he makes some bad decisions, never going to win a championship. What he has done this year at 32 years old has frankly been crazy. I mean, it's the 4th year he's going to average a triple-double. And lately, he is just playing with so much energy. I read an article about him. He only sleeps 5 to 6 hours a night. I mean, I only sleep like that when I have like 10 Coronas, just because I got a bad night's sleep. Like, this is what he's at. Where does he get all this energy from? He eats not 1, but 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches before each and every game. That would stick to the hips for me, okay? Listen to this with the Warriors, right? With the Wizards. Their last 19 games, they're 15-4 straight up. But they have 3 losses in that 15-4 stretch that are by 1 possession. 2 by 1 and 1 by 3. So I know anything could happen in an NBA game, but Joe, if you turn those 3 games around, that means the Wizards would have won 18 of their last 19 games. I'm just telling you that because I want to show you what type of rhythm that they're in, and that's why the line is indicating who you need to bet in this game. Let's not forget, Pacers are in the playoffs. They're safe. Wizards had a great run right now, but they got off to a slow start, and the Wizards are favorite. You bet the Wizards in this game. This is an absolute hammer situation here. If you don't want to lay the points, the money line is a little bit of a price here. But the Wizards, it's simple, Kenny. The more you bet, the more you win.
Tim, I love the play there, but more importantly, creamy or chunky on the peanut butter?
Oh, no, always creamy. Chunky? Yeah, it gets stuck in the teeth. I'm
a chunky guy. I know I'm in the minority here, but I'm a chunky guy. Kenny, how about you? What do you like on this game?
Joe, I'm with you. A chunky guy all the way. I love it. 2 peanut butter jelly sandwiches go right to Tim's hips. And you know what? I agree. 10 Coronas. It's so frustrating that you wake up after 5 hours and you can't fall back asleep. I have no idea why that happens. I'd rather sleep 8 that night, but you know what? It just doesn't ever happen for me. This one's going to be a fun game. Indiana is pushing the pedal to the metal. They are going up tempo so fast every game now. These 2 teams just played on May 3rd. Came 295 in regulation, 295. The total was 246.5. It's only 2. They moved it up a point to 247.5. There were 118 possessions in that game. Is Russ going to get a triple double? Is Russ going to get 15 assists and 15 plus rebounds? It's not a triple double. He's way over a triple double today. He might go 15, 15, and 15, but this game goes flying over the total. They've been playing red hot overs. And it continues again today. Indiana, I don't know what they decided to do, but they're just running up and down like the old Loyola Marymount basketball team with Westfed in command. So love it over the total. I love Tim's play at the Wizards. 13-1-1 ATS their last 15 games. They're an ATM machine and continue to bet them. I agree with you, Tim, on Washington.
All right, we got a couple more to sneak in here, gentlemen. Some winning wagers on the way with the Nets. Their current slide, the Sixers have really taken a stranglehold on the top of the East. Philly will look to further cement that position tonight. They're laying 10.5 when they welcome the Pistons. Kenny, the Sixers currently on a 7-game win streak since the return of Ben Simmons, 5-2 against the number over that stretch. How do you see tonight's matchup going down?
I'm going to go under. You know, Tim talked about the Sixers. If they want to win an NBA title, they have to play defense right now. Number 1 defensive team in the NBA over the last 30 days. So they're listening to Tim. Under the total here, Pistons have trouble scoring. Jeremy Grant's their only scorer, and he's had problems with that knee. Hopefully he'll sit this one out again. If he does, no scoring in that lineup. Wayne Ellington's the only guy that can shoot, but not against Philadelphia and Simmons. Under the total.
TD, how about you? What's your play on that game?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Pistons in that spot, and I think second half of a back-to-back. Make sure Jeremy Grant's playing for you to get it on that game, and then Grizzlies and Raptors. Kenny, I'm on Toronto. They've been playing better as of late. Knocked off the Lakers, gave the Clippers all they could handle. We're going head-to-head in that battle, Kenny. You know, standard play, 2,000 a game, head-to-head. I'm all in.
There you see it, the plays of the day from our guys. Kenny's playing it over. Tim's playing it Washington. Pistons and Sixers, under for Kenny, Detroit for Tim. Grizz and Raptors, we got the Grizzlies and Toronto. Splitsville, everywhere you look.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.